totally fine.
Okay, well let's do a quick check-in, at least of the folks that we have listed, and then if for some reason I miss somebody, please let me know. And Brad, maybe if you want to say 2 minutes about how excited you are and tired from your last week, it'd be good for people maybe to hear what a huge emphasis social media had at the last conference. But the folks that I see on the line, well, we've got AHEC presenting, so George and Tricia are on deck to present first. Yahoo for Tricia and George, and Sherry from West Virginia. Then Larry and Dina have been keeping it all together to the best of their ability. I see Gail from YUSA, Angelia from Michigan, Joy with Taft in New York, and Dee Dee Gass from Campfire, and Karen Accord with Heartland Foundation. Is there anybody else that we've missed? Well, super. Thanks for your patience. Brad, do you want to say a couple of minutes, or take a minute or two to just chat about I'm thinking particularly about the social media presence at the conference that we just came from.
Sure, yeah, the National Conference on Volunteering and Service took place in San Francisco early last week, and we expected perhaps in excess of 3,000. Which was going to be about on par with most previous conferences of that meeting, anyway, iterations of that conference, and we topped 5,000, which, as you can well imagine, is, well understand, is quite a feat in this day and age, given the restriction on travel, the generally low dollars that everybody has, and basically just budgetary constraints that a lot of folks have on travel that isn't mandatory. So we really were busting at the seams, and happily so. In terms of the social media stuff, that I think was a function of a number of things, and there was really a huge presence in terms of workshop sessions, in terms of streaming sections of the conference, the opening session, all 6 or 7 hours of it, along with streaming particular workshops, including one that was on social media and that took most of one of the sides of the ballroom to hold everybody that wanted to be in it, which was amazing. It was TechSoup, and Google, and the Packard Foundation, and an independent consultant talking at that particular one. It was a 3-hour session, and it was just packed. People were tweeting the meeting. We were able to have Anthony Salcido, the general manager of for Education from the United States for Microsoft, to appear at the town hall meeting of the corporation world and announce his, or that's say Microsoft's commitment to a 3-year partnership where they are helping to fund the development of a couple of program pieces, one of them being a national student-driven virtual help desk, which is still in formation. There was a design team meeting that I think 1 or 2 of you attended. I know 1 or 2 of you attended. And that was, so it was great to have Anthony there announcing the Microsoft partnership. And let's see, I think, you can't underestimate some of the star power that came out either, and the good effect that had on our portion of our world. As most of you may know, corporation does this conference in partnership with the Points of Light Institute and Hands-On Network, which are now becoming the Points of Light Institute as one entity, and they basically serve the volunteer center sector. So the First Lady was the star of the show, of course, at the opening session. She was followed by a representative from Target and Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course, the governor of California, his wife, Maria Shriver, our board chair, Alan Solomont, our CEO, Nikki Gorin, Matthew McConaughey was there, John Bon Jovi came, and the two of them actually represented the Electronic Industry Foundation. They will be doing, which is to say, EIF, or IEF, I think it is, will be coordinating across all major networks in the end of October as the fall season gets going. A suite of shows, so across, Grey's Anatomy and all of those on CBS, NBC, ABC, and Fox. There will be service themes in all of those shows on that week, and highlighting the President's Call to Service, essentially. And so we're, of course, thrilled about that. And, oh, God, a couple of others. David Gergen was there for the closing. He's been an advisor to several White House administrations over the past dozen years or so. And just generally very high quality of workshops, especially one led by Kristen Johnstad of some group from Minneapolis called Search Institute, I think it is. And she has some halfway decent colleagues, actually some wonderful colleagues in the National Service and Clearinghouse in Heartland, and Circle up at Tufts presenting with her. Some crazy guy named Lewis spouted for a couple of minutes before the rest of them got up and gave the real information. Anyway, it was basically ubiquitous. Not only that, but serve.gov had recently launched. I encourage you all to visit serve.gov as well as allforgood.org, which are aggregator sites for volunteer opportunities. If you have volunteer opportunities that you want to post, please go ahead and do that there. And exhort and encourage your colleagues and friends to poke around serve.gov and All for Good, which were both launched at this conference. And so we actually ended up putting off a meeting on a service network for the national service field, which was also to have been funded, and still will likely be funded under Microsoft, till we shake out a little bit more about what All for Good and serve.gov do to that landscape, so that we're doing things planfully and with foreknowledge rather than blazing ahead, with the usual ready, fire, aim precision that we've shown at other efforts in the past. So anyway, that's just a little bit about the social media presence at the conference and some of the highlights.
Well, thanks, Brad. This is Kristen again, and Calvin, welcome. We're glad you've joined us. I just did want to say the session that Brad and Liberty and I did, and Judith was there from Heartland, and Missy from West Virginia provided some information. The one thing that I will say, and it may be harder for those of us that have been grantees and have kind of, had to figure things out on our own, a lot of people were excited to hear that we're archiving these conversations. They were asking, will there be one-page sort of case studies to talk about what was learned? So, again, and that's part of what we'll be doing over the course of the summer, but people are very interested in learning from what we've learned and taking sort of advantage of all of the wisdom that at least some of us have been able to figure out by doing it. So know that people were really thrilled and are going to be looking for materials. Are there any questions before we kick it over to AHEC? All right, then I'm going to get out of the way, and we're starting a little 5 minutes late, so just take the full 30 minutes, Tricia, you and your crew, and I'll just let you start clicking on your presentation slides.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm just orienting myself. Well, I'm going to start with my slides, and I have George here to help me with some of the technology if I get mixed up trying to get over to the website. But what you see here is the YHSC logo, and just quickly or briefly, the Youth Health Service Corps, it's a service learning program for high school students, particularly students from disadvantaged backgrounds and for students who are interested in potentially entering the health careers as a career when they get older. So my first slide, I am going to jump from the slides to the social site and back, but for the first slide, I was asked to talk about accomplishments in relation to the social networking. So what we've done over the last year is we've created a closed social network for the Youth Health Service Corps members, alumni, and coordinators. Members are kids who are actively serving and participating. Alumni are basically students who have completed the program and or graduated from high school and have moved into college. And then the coordinators are the staff, the AHEC staff that work with the students. So through this social network, we are connecting all these parties, creating online communities around service and health careers, and we really find the network as facilitating our data collection and tracking. We also have worked to build a presence on some of the other social networks, including, you can see here, MySpace, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Blogspot. And hopefully, I'll be able to take you out to a couple of those sites as well. Okay, so I'm going to go right now to my website. So I'm going to just click over. Okay, and share. Okay. So you should see on your screen, this is our login screen for our members. So what I'm going to do just now is I'm going to log in as a student, one of the Youth Health Service Corps students, and then give you a look at our social networking site.
Looks great, Tricia.
Yeah, I spelled his name wrong, though. Hold on a second. All right. So this is what the students would, they can access this website anywhere that there's web access at www.yhsc.org, and all the students have a username and a password that's, unique for them. I did mention it's a closed system, so it's the only people that are on here are Youth Health Service Corps members, past and present. We have about 1,700 members at this point in time, that's how many people are on here now, and hopefully as the program grows, the membership will also grow. So the first thing I'm going to show you, while the website has all of the social media stuff, we also use it as a way for the youth to participate in the Youth Health Service Corps program. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to our Events and Projects tab, and I'm going to click on View Calendar. So our students, when they're interested in getting involved, getting volunteering, getting involved in service projects, they can go right to their calendar, and they can see which projects are running at the time, what they might be interested in participating in. You can see projects here that I'm just scrolling down. So if this student was interested in any of these projects, they'd click on it here, and that would send electronically begin the communication with the Youth Health Service Corps coordinator, who would then approve them and get them involved in the volunteering. We're trying to do a lot of our communication electronically via this website. As I scroll down, there's also an events calendar where you can see, the students can also see trainings that are coming up and again, express interest in getting involved in the trainings. Part of the Youth Health Service Corps program, there's a 9-module curriculum, so students need to get into the trainings, to get all those modules done. So you can just see there's a training scheduled for August, and students use this to click on and, again, communicate to the coordinator that they're interested in participating in that training. Okay, I want to take you now to our message center. Under our home tab, My Messages, students can click here, and basically this is an internal email system that the people on this website can communicate within the website. When you send messages via this internal system, you do get notices at your email address as well. When a student signs up for the program, they use their email address. They need to have a unique email address to be able to sign up. So, but this you can see here, they have their inbox, the messages, they're able to compose messages, send messages to other people on the network. There's also a tasks tab, which puts all in one place the different things that the students are responsible for getting done regarding their service learning projects and that kind of thing. So this is sort of where they get their business done. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the student's homepage. This is the first page that we saw when I logged on. And I'm just going to give you a quick tour here. I'm going to start on the left side, and you can see this student is Stewie. And it lists here under projects. These are the projects that Stewie has signed up for and is currently participating in. So he would use these links anytime he needed to communicate to his coordinator or log service hours and do the work for the service projects. He could get to them by these links. Also, the events, he's not signed up for any events at this point. He has some in the past, but if he had events that were up and coming, they would be here as well as a reminder. In the middle of the screen is what we call our action feed, and this pretty much mimics that tasks tab that we just looked at. When the student logs onto the website, right in the middle of the screen, they can see the things that they need to be doing. I'll draw your attention to the last task here. There's a reminder for Stewie to fill out the May 15th post-assessment. We have all of our students complete an assessment at the end of the school year of the impact of the program. They do it electronically. They do it via a link right here on their action feed. So this student hasn't completed their assessment yet, but he has a reminder to go ahead and do that. On the right-hand side of the screen is the people feed, and that's the social part of it, or the fun part of it, if you will. And in this column, Stewie, when he logs on, he can see the social activity that other people, including himself and others on the network, are doing. So you can see George has posted a blog. Stewie made friends with Celia. When you update your profile, you can upload videos. So you can get at a glance what's been happening on the social site since the last time you've been here. And if there's something that interests you, the link is right there to connect you to that video or that photo or that other person's profile. Okay, so that's the home page for the students. One thing that we've built in, which is sort of fun, is we have Youth Health Service Corps gear. And I'm going to go now, under the Home tab, there's the Youth Health Service Corps store. And students, while they participate in this program, getting their trainings done, doing their volunteering, as well as working, doing things socially on the network, we reward them with gear points. And you can see here, this is our store. We have 4 types of gear. The pictures are a little truncated here, but there's a drawstring bag, there's a hoodie, a T-shirt, a wristband. So students, as they accumulate points, they can come into the store and order this gear. And the gear just sort of ties them into the program and hopefully gives them some incentive to get on the social site and get active and, get active in the program and on the social site. So that's our gear store. I'm going to go now to the message boards. That's on the menus up here. And if you go to the message boards, this is a place where students, it works just like message boards on the other websites. Students can come in here. I'm going to click on the FAQ, frequently asked questions. They can either get involved in topics, communicate, post comments on existing topics, so they can create a topic all their own and get some communication going around a topic that they're interested in. So this is a function, right? It works like a forum where the students it's all about getting these students connected and communicating. They can do it on their walls, they can do it on the message boards, they can send an email, they can do it all. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you to this student's profile. And once a student is a Youth Health Service Corps member, they're able to populate, they have a profile on the website, and this is who they are on this website. So if you make friends with Stewie, you're able to come and see their profile and really learn about who he is and see what he's about. So you can see here just information. He can post a picture of himself. You can see which region he is from. He's at the Connecticut Northwest AHEC. His high school is Crosby. He's graduating in 2011. Any friends that he's made, you can see here. You can see the points that he's accumulated. These are the points that he could use in the gear store to buy gear. He also has the, across the top, he has the ability, under profile, this is where he would, or I think, no, this is already where we just were. I'm sorry, that profile is the page that we were just on, where you can see different things about Stewie, what he likes. He can post videos. He's got a couple of videos up here. He can post pictures. Here's his wall, so if you wanted to leave a comment for Stewie, you could do that, submit. When he comes back on his profile, he'll see that as a wall post. Because I'm in as Stewie, and I just posted to Stewie, so. And how he gets to all these profile pieces is across the top here. He can see who his friends are. He's got some friends. His gallery, this is where he would post pictures. The vid gallery, where he can put up videos. He's able to create blogs. I don't think he has any blog. Oh, he does have one blog up. And this is where he can, blog about what he wants to blog about, and people can leave comments on that. I hope I'm not getting you seasick. I'm scrolling around like crazy here. And lastly is the members tab, where this is where Stewie can go in and just search for any members on this network to seek them out and make friends with them. And so this is like a search feature to go ahead and find the other people that are on the network. Okay, let me see. I'm just looking at my notes here. So this was the view from the student side. This website is also used by the AHEC coordinators. So what I want to do now is I'm just going to log out, and I'm going to go ahead and log back in as an AHEC, as a YHSC coordinator.
Hey, Tricia, while you're doing that, can we see if folks have any questions in terms of what you've shared so far?
Absolutely.
Any questions from others?
Looks good.
Thank you.
Hey, Tricia.
Yes.
This is Angelia. I may have missed it, but what software or program are you using for this?
Group.
Rescue Social Change?
Yes.
Yeah, Rescue SCG, which stands for Social Change Group.
Okay, good, thanks.
You're welcome.
And this is Kristen. Are there parts of the youth site that you've been surprised by in terms of where, I guess I'm curious, where is the strong activity, and are there areas that have taken off that you didn't think would, and vice versa?
Yeah, and I can quickly, maybe I should go back to my slides, and because I was going to talk about that on my next slide. You
can wait. Well, but if you're going to get to it, I'm just curious. It is really exciting.
Yeah, let me quickly go through just quickly what the coordinators see, and then I'm going to go right into that.
Great.
Our biggest lessons and the surprising stuff.
Okay.
And this, so I just logged in as a YHSC coordinator, so staff member. And they basically see the same stuff as the students in a lot of ways. This is the message center where the YHSC coordinator can send emails to other people on the network. They are able to, across the tabs up top, these are things that the coordinators have, but not the students. They have an admin tab where, well, interesting, we have here our resource our coordinator resource page. So all of my coordinators can go right onto this website and find their program materials that they might need, forms. So it's all up here electronically. We're not putting it on CDs anymore and mailing it out. Whenever there's an update, we get the update right up here, and it's immediately available to all of our coordinators nationwide. Under the Members tab, I'll just show you a feature here. This is really designed to get the coordinators in close contact with the members. And again, electronic contact. We really want to get the students, savvy on the internet, communicating via email, via these types of websites, the social sites. So this is where my coordinator, this coordinator, her name is Celia, she can populate this page with a list of her active members. I just did that. So you can see these are all the students that she is working with currently active. And what she can do from this page is really across the top here, she can send emails to these students. She can export information that's in this database, export it out to Excel to see different things about the students. If she's sending letters, which we try not to use the U.S. mail, but you can mark that you have sent correspondence. So there's a lot of features in here for the coordinator to keep track of the student. I'm going to scroll down to the student that we were just looking at, who was Stewie here. And right from this page, the coordinator can go into any student's, what we call their history, and really get a snapshot of where the student is in the program. You can see Stewie here. He's at a Tier 2 member level. You can see what training Stewie has completed. On the right side of the screen, I can see his volunteer hours. As I scroll down, I can see detail about the different volunteer service projects that he's participated in, signed up for. There's information about the trainee's application. I did mention in the beginning, when a student applies for the program, they apply online via the website, and so they're, right at the get-go, we're getting who they are, their background information, as well as having them do some survey questions for us so we can begin to gauge impact of the program. So the coordinator can see all this stuff here on the student's history. Let's see, where else am I going? We have our volunteering tab. This is where the coordinator would put in all the opportunities, the volunteering opportunities that the students can participate in. When you use this tab, all that stuff shows up on the calendar for the students to see and sign up for. Same with the trainings. Well, if we have a volunteer training or a CPR training, you put it up here. It shows up on the calendar, and that gives the students notice that a training's coming up, and then they're able to sign up for the training. And when in the applications tab, when students first apply for the program, they're not members yet. They show up as an applicant, and then it gives my coordinator the ability to go through the applications and make sure that they're complete before a student is actually made a member and given access to the website and the program. Let's see. Now, the coordinators also have a social. They are also on the social side. So this is our coordinator's, Celia's profile. Just like Stewie had, it's the same thing. They can make friends, they can post pictures, they can put videos up, do blogs, search for members. Pretty much it's the same page as the students have. So our coordinators make friends with their students, and they're able to communicate socially via the different walls and things that we have in here. I will take you, Celia is the coordinator for the Northwestern Connecticut AHEC, and if I click on this link here, it takes you to that AHEC's wall, and this is sort of a congregating place for the students. While they all have their own personal walls, this is a wall that's supposed to be specific for their AHEC region, where they can put pictures up, and it's the same thing, pictures and videos, and so that's another feature that we have here, these walls. Okay, so now I am going to switch back to the slides. George is stepping up to help me. Exit sharing.
Stop sharing.
Okay, so I'm back. I should be back to my presentation, and I'm going to go on to the next slide. I think I'm going to answer some of the questions. If there's other questions, you can jump in. We were at, what were the biggest lessons that we learned? And I think this will answer the question that was raised a couple minutes ago. We've learned that training is paramount to this process, not only for our students, but for our AHEC coordinators as well. All levels of expertise have been thrown at us, from, what's Internet Explorer to other people who are much more savvy. But we really needed to pay attention to that training aspect, giving people training on how to use these tools. We've worked very hard to make our website intuitive, but it's still, we find these big black holes where people end up and they don't understand where they are, and they really do need the support, both the students and the adults that we're working with. I mentioned earlier I'll get to that. The second thing is the support. Once people are trained to use it, that's just the tip of the iceberg, because then as they use the system, we do find there is a big support function for the users. And this is a new website for us. We are basically building it live, which, if I had 5 years to sit back and do it offline and make sure it worked perfectly and then put it out there, but that's not how we went about it. We put it out there early and often, and so really giving support to the users, because they're seeing new features come up, they're comfortable with it, and then we put a new feature up, and then they're like, what's this new feature? So trying to provide support. George and John here in my office, they're available via the phone, via email, via IMing on AOL, so we try to make them as accessible as possible. And really telling people to reach out for the support. I'll talk to someone like, well, it was on the database, and I'm like, that was 3 weeks ago. Why aren't you calling us and telling us we're here to support you? But people, I don't know, are shy, or I don't know what they're doing. One of our other lessons were the firewalls. We engage, a lot of my AHECs engage students in the school, and it might be running as an after-school program, but it's being done in the four walls of the school. They utilize the school's computer labs, because a lot of what we do is online, and the schools are locked down tight with these firewalls. So anything that we tried to do with Facebook or MySpace or YouTube, it just does not happen in those schools, no way, no how. Those sites are off limits. So even our site, occasionally it gets popped off because, the word hot is in there about some, I don't know what, and it's construed as being too titillating, and it's blocked. So we are always working with the schools to get our site on the whitelist, although that even when we get approved on the whitelist, 6 months later it might pop off again, because I'm not sure why. They're always going through an updating process. So that's something that my coordinators are aware of. We make sure that the schools understand that there's a website component, that the students are going out on the web, and we need to work through that issue. We have the digital divide issue. AHEC focuses on working with disadvantaged students, and a lot of these students we have learned, and we knew going in, because we see the studies, but their access to the internet is in many cases extremely limited. Here in the wealthiest state in the Union of Connecticut, we work in a school here in Waterbury, and there's 7 computers for the whole student body that have internet access. And there's 1,200 kids in the school. So on paper, that school has internet access, but in reality, there's 7 computers for 1,200 students. So the access is extremely limited. If students don't have access in their home, or if they're not motivated to go to the library or a place like that where they could get access, then we've run into that limited access issue. We compete with the other social networking sites. Even with limited access, because we always say to us, I don't have a computer, and they moan to us, and we find them right on MySpace, and we say, well, you have a MySpace page, so we know you can get on the internet. And so while they have access to the internet, but they might not have a lot of it, and we're asking them to use some of that time to do Youth Health Service Corps work. So I think we are in competition with some of the other social networking sites. And I mentioned it is a closed site, and it has pros and cons. Pros, we know who's on there. It's a little more controlled. It's not completely the wild, wild west. A lot of the teachers in the schools, they worry about that. But the cons are that it's closed, and it's only so big, and these students are kind of used to the wild, wild west, if you will, out on MySpace and things like that. So trying to make it exciting for them. So those were some of our biggest lessons. I think the other part of the question was, where the activity is and where we see the students the most active. And I'm looking at my IT team here. Where do we see the most activity?
Probably on the profile and the wall pages where students can actually customize it and express themselves, which is what they often do on MySpace and Facebook.
Yeah, they can upload songs and they can put their pictures up in videos, and this is, we've had this site up now, it's been growing over the year. So we've had students on it over this past year, and they're really getting familiar with it. And next school year, this summer and next school year, we're really hoping to, we're building activity on the social site into the service learning project. So they're required to go out and make friends with the people on their team. They're required to post some polls, to take the temperature on issues, maybe a project on childhood obesity or healthy snacks in schools. So we're really trying to build on the social site into the day-to-day of their service learning project. So that's up and coming this summer and next school year. This school year pretty much was go up there and have fun, get some gear points, make friends. And so they had fun getting their profile together. That's what they were most familiar with, I think, too. It works much like a Facebook or a MySpace, and they're familiar with that. I think I'm running out of time, so let me get through this. My next slide is the opportunities for deepening youth engagement, and we really are trying to harness technology to build a movement among youth volunteers. Get this social networking thing, getting it all really hot and heavy around volunteering. Okay, so all the great stuff that our students are doing, we want to get it out there to the world and make them really show everyone the superstars that they really are. We work seriously about closing that digital divide because the youth that we work with, they are disadvantaged technology-wise, and they're not going to be able to compete out in the real world when, if they don't understand the internet and how to use it and how to work it. So we work very hard to bring that to our students. And then, of course, we're trying to connect the youth from the diverse backgrounds with diverse experiences. Question?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No question. Okay. Let me, that's what I think, do I have a few minutes still, or do I need to shut up?
No, go ahead.
All right, I'm just going to go out to Firefox again, and, right, George? Yes. Okay, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to go out to our just, am I doing all right?
No, you had the tabs already up.
Oh, I have the tab set up. All right. Well, okay. I did it wrong. Sorry. Here's the MySpace page that we've set up for YHSC, and we encourage our students, I'm just going to scroll down, to become our friends. We have almost 200 friends up here now. Some music going. I'm going to turn that off so we're not distracted. But most of our demographic, this is where they are, as opposed to Facebook. On Twitter, they're not necessarily out there yet, but they're definitely on MySpace, and we use this to try to engage them and pull people into the program, get our students, our YHS students, friends on MySpace, and then their friends can see that they're friends with us and get interested in the program. That's the thought behind there. I am a crazy Twitter lady now. We have our Twitter spot here, and I try to go on here each and every day and give where's my tweet? It's already, like, gone. So people are just real active on this thing. So, but I'm really trying to, get a presence up here on Twitter, and I'm finding it really useful staying abreast of the other things that are going on. I follow Youth Serve, I follow Learn and Serve America, a bunch of other people, this new profit group. I learned about them at the San Francisco conference with their social entrepreneurism, so you can see who I'm following here. So we are out there on Twitter, and I'm also using Blogspot to really put things out there for my coordinators. I work with about 33 AHECs across the nation. We do conference calls all the time, and I email, but I'm really finding this Blogspot as a real tool for me to just put my thoughts out there to keep these people motivated and understanding what I'm thinking. And so we are doing an update this summer on our Youth Health Service Corps program. We've done webinars about it, but just, keeping people, I just have so many ideas and places I want to take this program and ways to get there, and I'm really energetic about it. So I'm finding Blogspot is a great place to throw all this stuff up there so people, if they want, can follow me and know where I'm going. So if they want to come with me, they're right there with me. So I'm just getting into this blog, and so we have our YHSC blog. Okay, so that, hold on a minute.
Sure,
Where am I taking this experiment? This is my last piece. We're trying to make this closed community grow, grow, grow. As these students come on, we want it to get it bigger and better. We're excited for our high school students who are graduating to continue to be active in the Youth Health Service Corps, to become potentially mentors to the high school students, what it's like to be in college, how to get there, what's working, what's not. We're also hopeful maybe to bring in some professionals, some health professionals, maybe nurses, doctors, dentists, hygienists, physical therapists, where they could be on message boards potentially, talking to students about their interest in these careers. We're just looking to find new ways to build social connectivity, again, around volunteering, around the good work that our students are doing out there. We also have a program called the College Health Service Corps. So a lot of our youth kids matriculate into the College Corps when they go to college here in Connecticut. So definitely linking those communities together, and trying to maybe build in some new features like instant messaging and live tech support, so that we are, we're supporting our users in a technologically savvy way, which we're working towards that right now. So, okay, that concludes my presentation.
Yay!
That was great. That was great. Sadly, my 3:30 is about to start, so I'm going to have to run. But thank you very much. I think that was great. I was interested to hear that MySpace is as productive for you as it is. And, of course, the training and firewall issues are things that we're aware of. I might want to come back to this group and do some brainstorming also about some of the work we're doing with Microsoft. And so, Krista, maybe we'll have a conversation offline and or get a sense if you all would be interested in kind of consulting us on things that might be might help make a national virtual student-driven help desk a viable concept, at least in your circles. But let me get back to you on that as well. Anyway, thank you very much. Pleasure to hear all your voices, and I look forward to hearing more about your work soon. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Brad.
Good job,
Brad. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye now, y'all.
Other questions from folks on the line?
Hi, this is Joy from the After School Corporation. And I was wondering if your students, so your students are working mostly from school, so is it program time that they're logging in and checking, or do you try to get them to log in at home or on their free time?
Both, actually. Both. But we build it into the program time. And that gets into the training piece where we do both. We expect them to be on this website on their own time as well. So they're not just supposed to be logging in when they're coming and meeting with their coordinator. Sometimes in the beginning, though, that's how it goes. We have to get them on there. We have to show them how to use it. We have to sort of introduce the cool features to them. And but definitely, we want them going on often on their own time. But we've also built in use of the website as part of their service. You know, we're hopeful maybe to use the blogging where they could put their reflection, you know, their written reflections. Like right now we have a reflection notebook. So that's 2007, right? So now 2009, can they keep it electronically in their blogs? Now it would make it accessible to other students. So, you know, depending on what they're writing and if they want it to be. But the answer to that question is both.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Maybe time for one more question?
This is Gail from YUSA. I wanted to find out what you have done in regards to encouraging how did you set up the blogging with the students? How did that get set up?
Setting up a blog with the students?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, we have on our closed site, there is a blogging function. So every student, and so, for instance, if I am our coordinator here in Northwestern Connecticut, she works with about 70 students. She has a space where she can blog, and the students can read what she's writing and comment. Now, we haven't gotten too much into that yet with the students.
Okay.
I don't think it's a thing that the students are very familiar with, although I'm looking at my team here. So we have that feature in our website. We have not utilized it a ton yet, but we'd like to get there. I've really found at the get-go, personally, the blog being useful for me to communicate with other professional staff, if you will. Now, my youth health service, the students can go on to Blogspot and look at my blog as well. I don't know how interested they are in what I'm writing, but so we haven't done a ton with blogging with the students. I think it's a really powerful tool, though, and it's really that sort of thing, like build it and they will come. Because I'm out there blogging, and I'm like, is anyone listening? Like, no one's reading it yet, and I'm sending them emails. Go to my blog, go to my blog. But the more I use it as my communication tool, they are going to have to start using it. Because I tell people like, oh, we need to see the results from last year. I go right to yhscblogspot.com. That's where they are. I don't email them to you anymore. I don't have them, you know, before I would like email it as an attachment. Now I just tell them the blog spot and say that's where I'm putting all this stuff. So if you want to know this stuff, go there. It's all there. So I'm really trying to build, yeah, but sometimes I feel like I'm out there doing it and no one's listening. But they will start. Or else, you know, but with the students, we're
at that age, the blog is not the big thing for them at that age. It's MySpace, so that's where they tend to.
Yeah.
To navigate.
Can you say that again, George?
No, I just said at the age we work with, the demographic of like the high school students, they tend to all navigate to that like the MySpace feature, like the profile, where they're able to customize it and put pictures up and communicate with other students that way. So it's the blogging feature. It's there, and a few students have used it, but it's not a big. It doesn't really draw them in that much.
Yep.
Thank you.
But how do we get them there? I mean, yeah.
All right, well, we got to give a virtual round of applause for AHEC. Fabulous work. Thank you so much, Tricia and George. I think you should consider bottling your passion and enthusiasm and selling it at that store, those point stores. I feel the energy coming from the East Coast to Minnesota. So thank you so much. While I'm doing this, I'm hoping, Sherry, are you still on the line to queue up your work with West Virginia?
Yes, I am.
Well, let's turn it over to you then for the remaining half hour. Thank you, AHEC.
You're welcome. What do you hit to mute the line?
Say that again?
Do you hit *6 to mute the line?
Ooh, I don't know. Larry?
Right, sorry.
Yeah, why don't you try that? I can't remember exactly what the number is.
Now we don't know if it worked or not. Are you there, Tricia?
Yes. Tricia, can you sing a little bit? No. All right, Sherry, we're going all the way from Connecticut to West Virginia.
That's correct. And also, we are a commission. We're the West Virginia Commission for National and Community Service. We're actually a state agency, so many of the folks that have community-based service learning grants are nonprofits, and so our focus was quite different. We were looking for nothing quite as fantastic as what I've been seeing with closed networking sites. Those are so fantastic. But we don't always serve youth only. We don't. Our whole focus of our grant was to try to get service learning embedded in all these little nonprofits throughout West Virginia and to teach them about watershed health, hence Project Flow, Future Leaders of Watershed. But when we had this opportunity for social media, we were thinking how often people in West Virginia volunteer, but one, they either don't think of it as volunteering because they're teaching Sunday school or what have you. I'm sure other states have this issue, or they never talk about it. So actually about 7 years ago, we put together a site. This is our website that you should see in front of you. Can everyone see this?
Yeah.
Great. And we actually have a matching service that we put together. So you can check out for your county, and you can look for your interest of what you may want to volunteer in, and you can do a matching service. And we were thinking, what else can we do? Because people come to our site to do this. And so we decided that a blog might be a really neat thing. So folks, once they've done some volunteer service, they can come on and check out the blog. So we worked with a guy who does a lot of blogging and has several sites up in West Virginia to help us put this together. And it's very simple. We have a blog, and what we chose, we used WordPress as the software instead of Blogspot or something like that, and we named it the volunteerwestvirginiablog.org. And as you can see,
one moment. This is Gail. I'm not seeing anything on my screen. Is there something that I'm not doing? I'm just seeing, the topic, social media presentation, but I'm not seeing anything on my screen.
Gail?
Yes?
It looks like you've been kicked off somehow. I don't know if you possibly accidentally closed a window.
Oh, no, I've just been sitting here.
Okay, it looks like your internet is might have crashed then. I would try to sign back in.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
You're good. And so some of our recent posts are from, well, the majority of our posts are from actually the Flow subgrantees. And how we did this is we set it up with contributors. And these are the most current contributors. And there are different ones that will come and provide blogs, and you can look them up. And this is a closed site, so we don't just let anyone come in and blog. They have to be assigned a passcode, and then they put in the information. And then once they submit it, we then review it and publish it. So we're in here checking usually on a weekly, or actually Mitzi, our communication coordinator, gets a little blurb that says we can do this. So here's just an example of one, and then you can check out. They have links that they've put in here to go to different websites to learn more information. And what we hope to do is to really just let people learn about learn about other volunteer opportunities and volunteering programs that you can do in West Virginia. And we have a simple, this is really a one-page, here's how to do it, how to avoid losing your work, things like that. And then what we're finding, which is some of the problems, and instead of trying to emailing and getting a login, they just put in comments. So here is an AmeriCorps Vista talking about MLK Day, and then someone else from a CERT volunteer, which is around disaster preparedness, is talking about some of the things that they've been doing. So it's kind of interesting to see all the interpretations and people wanting to blog and to use this blog, but instead of blogging in maybe the appropriate manner, they just add in as comments. So we're glad to have anything that we have. Anyone wants to say, we're really excited for them to talk about it. And again, what's nice about this is you can talk about or write on our blog what it is that we plan to do. Again, it's just trying to get people to tell their story about the service and try to promote an aspect or an interest in volunteering in West Virginia. So what I thought was kind of interesting when we started this, we put in the RSS feed so people could send it directly to their emails. And we also did a Facebook and a MySpace account. And with MySpace, this will go to it. It should. We have a group topic, but it's not being used a whole lot. However, we do have Mrs. West Virginia International as a friend of ours. Several folks in several beauty pageant winners recently, Mrs. West Virginia, I think the Miss West Virginia, their platforms were all about volunteering. So they actually go and speak on our behalf. But some of my grantees, such as this one, the 4-H Flow, if I can click on that, have developed their own social media sites, which is really neat. And this is something by just teaching them about social media and about our blog that they thought it was a great idea. So you can go on to different ones and actually see their sites. These are closed, and you have to get permission, but I think it's really great to see how having as a state agency to say, hey, social media is a great thing. This is a great way to add interest to your programs for service learning, so that they are now starting to provide programs like that to their group. Let me see if I can move back. Maybe. Here we go. Yeah. And then we also have the MySpace, if I can find it. Well, I'll go to home. That's always a good thing. Maybe. Here we go. This one has been used more. We've promoted it more, and we have about 300 and some users. And what we find with this is it's not just about the volunteer blog anymore, that people are posting information and are almost using this as a site to talk about volunteer experiences and to promote different events that are coming through. And we have pictures. I mean, everyone's seen Facebook. So that's, for the most part, what we're doing with this. And does anyone have any questions about the sites or would like to see anything about the sites so far? If not.
Sherry?
Yes.
How do you control for inappropriate content? We're so nervous about our blog about just letting anyone in, so I think somebody has authority to post or not post, but it doesn't make for a very vibrant conversation.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys manage that?
What we've done, I can, is I'll go over here to the using this blog and go into the WordPress and open it up. We allow them to submit the comments, but we approve them. So it is a completely closed and controlled. Being a state agency, that was the best I could get away with, if that makes sense. They really wanted us to make sure that we could control the content that came in. Let's see if I did this right. Here, this is the dashboard. And if you want to write a new post, you click on that and you can write. Here's one that's awaiting moderation. And so someone made a comment about YAB, and this is one of our FLOW grantees for service learning. It's a small nonprofit watershed association that's developed a youth advisory board that are extremely active, and one of them is a member of the Learn and Serve Youth Speakers Bureau, and she's had a great time with that. But here's just one of her comments, and so I would read it and think, okay, this is okay, and just go and hit approve, and it should now be, if I visit the site, it should be showing that comment. See, it says one comment right here. So if you read the full post, they'll talk about they went to a camp and did some leadership development, and then you can have a comment right there. So we're trying to get some of the conversation going, but again, it would be great to allow them to have better and I guess quicker interaction with the comments, but as a state agency, we couldn't do that. They wouldn't go for that, unfortunately, meaning the governor's office, which we are a part of. What I'd like to do, if I can, is if I can go back to the main site. Oops, I paused it. Exit sharing application. And go and maybe do a summary. And again, with the Volunteer West Virginia, we first focused on trying to get the youth to tell their stories. And we start with a youth focus group actually in July of last year, asking them about what type of technologies do they use, and most of them were not familiar with the blogs. And what George, I think it was George that said earlier, kids tend not to write online yet. They tend to use the networking sites. So when we developed this blog and chose the blog software, we wanted to make sure we had the RSS feeds as well as a site for Facebook and for MySpace so that we could try to attract youth to the blog. Again, we had a password blog security. We had contributing accounts. So those are authored accounts. And we can set up a gazillion of them. So we've gone and actually have done for specific time periods, if we wanted to do a MLK Day blog, which we did, we gave everyone, here's this passcode to go in and write about MLK Day. They can do videos, they can do pictures. We also wanted to do podcasting, and we've started to do some of that. In fact, but what I found is that our communication staff really wanted to do it in-house because they wanted to learn the technologies and they wanted to become, savvy in that software and posting it on YouTube and on our website. But because we wanted to do it in-house, it's moved a lot slower than it should. And so we have one podcast that's done but not currently online yet, and they're now going through and doing another one. Every year we have the Governor's Service Awards, and so they're actually going and doing videotaping about each award winner, and they will be showing that at our conference at the banquet and award ceremony, and then it will be going up on the website about as a podcast. So folks can download and take it with them if they want to, or just download it from their computer. So those are some of the things that we have struggled with a little bit with the podcasting, is trying to, our mission is to highlight volunteerism in West Virginia, and we have probably 50 podcasts we like to do, but finding the time to do it. So we shall see how that works. When we started the blog, again, we trained our sub-grantees at one of our trainings and had them actually practice it, had the youth that was at the training also practice it, and really said, hey, this is a way for you.
The chairperson has disconnected. The conference will now end.